Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is channel SZT3, and today I am going to be talking about something real special. So, I do believe that most of you know me already, and if I'm correct, then some of you were here last semester. I can't remember faces. I'm sorry, I'm just guessing. We're here last semester and were unfortunate enough to witness my two presentations. And if you were indeed here, then you have probably already figured out my modus operandi, if you will. But just to shake things up, today I am not going to be presenting about my own work. I'm not here to blow my own horn, at least today I'm not. But I am going to be talking about a logo, and I don't know if you have heard of our little art group yet, but I guess now you will. So, without further beating around the bush, did I just step it? No, I swiped it. The thing I am going to be presenting today is the SZT3 logo. Now, our logo has two main iterations. It's really just a ballot swap, or it's just a color inversion. But this white on black one is the default, the official one. But when we need it, we also use a black and white one. And sometimes when we are doing like big promotions or there's a big event happening, our logo might change accordingly. For example, when we released our first album titled Jön az ördög, our whole brand, the logo and everything changed to look like this on all our social media. You know, it's just to show you how versatile you can be. But before we go any deeper, right, I think we should already be talking about, you know, the creation of the logo and its creator. With that, oh, by the way, check out our Instagram, we post great pics there. And with that, let's just get to know us a bit better. Now, I won't be talking about myself, but the other two members of the little art group are Feli, who is a professional photographer and is a motor vehicle paint technician, or a car finisher, you can call it. And the person I'll be focusing on today is Hans, who is a graphics designer and a guitarist. He's an overall musical genius, really. He directs and writes all our songs. He's really good. But let's start at the beginning. So I also want to teach you guys a little bit about the process of designing a logo. So the very first thing that you do is you get to know the subject, right? You really have to know who you are designing a logo for. So you do some research about the company and all that, or the person, the organization, whatever. Well, we had quite an easy job because we were designing the logo for ourselves. And we, well, happen to know ourselves a bit. But you don't necessarily know us, so I don't want to throw shade, but I just wanted to include a bad example for why you really should get to know the subject before designing a logo. Believe it or not, this isn't a logo for a hardware store. but indeed a swimming school. Now you cannot tell me that these aren't circular saw blades. And you know what's the worst part about this? It would be a fantastic logo for a hardware store, but indeed it's a swimming school. Anyways, let's get to know us. What do we do actually? So we are mainly a fine arts group, and we step back. So we are mainly a fine arts group. We make well, fine arts in our respective fields, but we all publish under the group's name together. So we share the fame. And we also make movies, like art movies, shorts, maybe even comedy skits sometimes, you know, performances. Then we also make music in a whole plethora of different genres. Check out our SoundCloud, by the way. Then we make quite a lot of hike vlogs, do urbex stuff. We record these freaking smash videos, testing the gigantic weapons I make, smashing things. We sometimes even do some gameplay every now and then, whatever you can think of. We're really a variety channel on YouTube. We are also a parkour team, do parkour, freerunning, tricking, whatever. Right, and I don't know if you noticed, but I can't really see a string that would tie these together. And indeed, you cannot fit these many different things into a single logo and expect it to be coherent and work as a cohesive unit. But there is a common ground, and that common ground is that we are SZT3. And this is why we decided to make our logo in a way that it only reflects our group's name and us, and not what we are doing, what we do. Okay, what does SZT3 stand for, by the way? It stands for Szent Háromság, or the Holy Trinity, which is a nickname that our teachers and some of our classmates gave us, like all the way back in like the second half of 9th grade. It's like 8 years ago now, but it just stuck with us, so we kept using it. And yeah, let's just move on. So we started designing the logo in January 2020, and we actually designed the whole thing through text. Everyone's sitting very comfortably at home, and we were just sending each other the progress pics. And well, the first actual step in the designing process, after you get to know the subject, is drawing as many sketches, as many different sketches as you possibly can, right? This is just visual brainstorming, just getting all your ideas out, let it flow out onto the paper. And these are the sketches that Hans sent us, the first step in designing the logo. And as you can see, the laser doesn't really show up on this screen, but as you can see, these are quite close already to the final logo, but it's a long way before we get there. By the way, we still have this exact piece of paper with all these sketches. Hopefully it's gonna be worth something later. Anyways, so the next step is narrowing down, selecting what you like and what you don't, and immediately after, like a minute after, Hans sent us this exact picture. By the way, I pulled all these pictures from Messenger. I scrolled back to 2020 January and got the exact picture, so that's what you're looking at. And so Hans sent us this version, crossing out what he didn't like and keeping what he did. Then, very comfortably circled this one, and spoilers, we didn't end up using this one. Anyways, Next step is transferring the selected view into a digital medium, you know, designing or continuing the design process in Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and well, these are the three that Hans picked to go with, and then he circled this one as his favorite, and Ferry changed his mind and picked that. And they were joking that, oh, I'll pick this one and make it like really hard to decide. I actually had the idea that we use this font with this layout, and so this is how we ended up. Oh, sorry, just missing a few shots here. Changing the squared halo to an oval one, but this is how we ended up with this, and this is quite close now to the current logo. But then we felt that something was still missing. You know, it had to be framed like a nice little piece of art, like a painting. It needed to be framed. So we were experimenting with a few different ways of framing it. This is what Hans sent as an initial thought for the frame, but then Ferry made the the remark that we should probably use a circular layout because it's easier to place it on different products. It's a lot more versatile than this very elongated rectangular layout, and also Hans really wanted to keep this halo on top layout. It didn't really work, but this is how we ended up transferring the whole thing, just mixing these two ideas together into this, because I said, well, let's just take that halo from on top and just slap it behind the whole thing. And so we experimented with a few different sizes, you know, like you can see this is really small, this is really big, you can tell compared to the vertical line of the T, and ended up picking just one, this. But something was still just a tiny bit off, it wasn't just right, it wasn't just that, and so we discussed it for a while and started experimenting with the width, you know, of the little curved lines, and so we picked this one. It's a one stroke, it's really thin, it's very gentle, very elegant, like a halo should be, and yes, this is how we got our logo. But that's not all, right? We can analyze the logo, and I really want to analyze the logo. By the way, I can tell you the exact time when this was finished. It was, I believe, 17:35 on the 22nd of January 2020. We know the exact date. It's really nice. I like this detail that we actually know. But so let's analyze the logo. So it can be separated into four main parts on this horizontal axis, I guess, and obviously the text part, the middle, can be separated into two lines, and then the halo that frames it, it comes from upwards and downwards, and it doesn't actually connect, you know, letting this side part and that side just flow out, giving it a bit of freedom, but also you can separate it vertically and get sort of a grid like this. It's very organized, I do believe, and because of this circular arrangement, you know, framing, it doesn't really fit these very praised rules like the golden ratio, the Fibonacci spiral, but it actually does have the number sequence of the Fibonacci spiral, because if we say that this T is 1 unit, then the S can be 2. And if the S is 2 and the T is 1, then the 3 is 3. The next number will be 5, but we don't really have more letters to work with this abbreviation. By the way, this abbreviation works quite well because, well, it's very well used, it's very widely used, the ST short version of saint, and the 3 is quite self-explanatory. The only issue we sometimes have is that people think this is 52, but
that's what I saw first.
Oh, yeah, it's very common. You sort of have to know the brand just a tiny bit to understand the logo, but it's quite catchy because of this symmetry going on here, and also because of this symmetry, it works as a unit. It's not 2 separate letters, it's a double-digit letter, and it just really works as 1 unit, so you get the 1, 2, 3 rhythm of the Fibonacci sequence. Also, by the way, the black and white color scheme was a very obvious choice from the get-go. We all agreed that it should be black and white because this was sort of designed under the aegis of minimalism. It was very heavily influenced by some other very minimalist logos, like the Cloak logo. Don't know if you know, it's a clothing brand. Anyways, so yeah, the black and white was very, very obvious from the start. And also, it's probably the most versatile and easy to use color palette because, well, if it's a darker background, then you can just use the black text from the black and white version as a PNG without a background, or reverse it and use the other one with a background. And if it's a darker thing that you're using it on, then it's vice versa. It always stands out. So black and white is the way to go. Maybe if you are designing a logo and really want to add some color, go with black and white and a bit of red, like the Netflix logo or Coke or whatever. Those work really well. Anyways, so it doesn't really fit the golden ratio, does it? But you know, it fits something else, another very famous piece of art that people sometimes like to compare their own stuff with, and that is the Vitruvius Man from Da Vinci. Yes. I do believe that that is basically it for the presentation. But before I actually go, I just wanted to use this opportunity to promote us. We actually have merch now as stickers, and they usually go for 200 a piece, but we discussed it and we agreed that, well, if you want, you can take one or any for free, but if you want to support us, then just leave as many as you think would be appropriate for them. And with that, thank you very much for your attentions, and I hope that you are looking forward to my next presentation in a bit.